Right now, as you are watching this video, there is panic spreading across immigrant communities about new driving regulations coming in 2025 and 2026. Your social media feed is probably filled with alarming posts about costly fines, license suspensions, and even deportation consequences for immigrants who fail to comply with these changes. I have seen the viral posts, I have received the concerned messages, and I understand why so many of you are feeling anxious, confused, and uncertain about what these driving regulations actually mean for you, your green card, your visa, your status, and your future in the United States. But here is my promise to you right now. In this video, I'm going to separate fact from fiction. I'm going to tell you exactly what is changing, what is not changing, and most importantly, what you actually need to do to protect yourself. No panic, no exaggeration. Just the truth backed by official government sources. So stay with me, because the information in this video could save you from costly mistakes, unnecessary fear, and potential legal complications. Welcome back to Global Immigration Updates. I am Saqib, and as always, my mission is to deliver verified, fact-checked immigration news and analysis that helps you navigate the complex American immigration system with clarity and confidence. Today, we are tackling a topic that intersects driving regulations with immigration status. And this is an area where misinformation spreads rapidly, because so many immigrants rely on driver's licenses, not just for transportation, but as essential identity documents for employment verification, travel, and daily life. Let me begin by addressing the central question that is on everyone's mind. Are there actually new costly driving regulations coming in 2026 that every driver must know about? The answer requires careful analysis, because there are several distinct regulatory changes occurring at both the federal and state level. And it is critical that we understand exactly what is happening when these changes take effect, and specifically how they impact immigrants, green card holders, visa holders, and those with pending immigration applications. The most significant regulatory change affecting drivers in the United States right now is the Real ID enforcement deadline. This is not new legislation, but it represents a critical inflection point that will impact millions of drivers, particularly those in immigrant communities. The Real ID Act was originally passed by Congress in 2005 as a response to the September 11th attacks, establishing minimum security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and identification cards. After numerous delays and deadline extensions, the Department of Homeland Security has established May 7th, 2025 as the final enforcement date. What this means practically is that starting on that date, if your state-issued driver's license or identification card does not meet Real ID standards, you will not be able to use it to board domestic flights, enter federal facilities that require identification, or access certain nuclear power plants. This is the first critical change that will carry over into 2026 and beyond as a permanent enforcement reality. Now here is where immigration status becomes directly relevant. And this is where I want to provide absolute clarity, because there is significant confusion in immigrant communities about what Real ID means for them. To obtain a Real ID compliant driver's license or identification card, you must provide documentation proving your identity, your date of birth, your social security number, and critically, your lawful presence in the United States. For green card holders, this means presenting your permanent resident card. For those on valid visas such as H-1B workers, F-1 students, or J-1 exchange visitors, you must provide your passport along with your visa documentation showing your current lawful status. For those with pending immigration applications, this is where things become more complex, and I strongly encourage you to consult with your state's Department of Motor Vehicles regarding acceptable documentation. The second significant change that drivers in immigrant communities must understand relates to document verification systems that many states are implementing or upgrading for 2025 and 2026. The Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements program, known as SAVE, is a federal database operated by USCIS that allows government agencies to verify immigration status. More states are now integrating SAVE verification directly into their driver's license application and renewal processes. What this means for you as an immigrant is that when you apply for or renew your driver's license, the DMV may electronically verify your immigration status in real time. If there are any discrepancies between your documentation and the federal database, this could result in delays or denials. I want to emphasize that this is not a new immigration enforcement mechanism. It is a verification tool, but it does mean that ensuring your immigration documentation is current and accurate has become more important than ever. The third change involves state-level license restrictions based on immigration status, and this varies significantly depending on where you live. Some states issue standard driver's licenses to individuals regardless of immigration status. These licenses typically include a notation indicating they are not valid for federal purposes, meaning they cannot be used for Real ID purposes. Other states have implemented tiered licensing systems where different types of licenses are issued based on immigration status. What you need to understand is that your driving privileges within the state are generally preserved regardless of which type of license you hold. A license marked as not acceptable for federal identification purposes still allows you to legally operate a motor vehicle within that state. However, you will need to use alternative identification, such as a valid passport when boarding domestic flights, after the real ID enforcement date. The fourth regulatory change involves renewal requirements and documentation cycles. Many states are now aligning driver's license expiration dates with immigration status expiration dates for individuals on temporary visas. This means that if you hold an H-1B visa that expires in 3 years, your driver's license may also be issued with a 3-year validity period, rather than the standard 8 or 10-year period that citizens receive. When your immigration status is extended, you must visit the DMV with your updated documentation to extend your driver's license as well. This is not technically a new regulation, but states are enforcing these alignment policies more consistently, and failure to renew your license after extending your immigration status could result in you driving with an expired license, which carries legal consequences, including fines and potential insurance complications. The fifth change that immigrant drivers need to understand relates to electronic verification at traffic stops and the integration of federal databases with state law enforcement systems. Let me be extremely clear here, because this is an area where social media misinformation causes tremendous unnecessary fear. A routine traffic stop for a minor violation does not typically trigger immigration consequences for those who are lawfully present in the United States. However, the enhanced information sharing between state DMV systems and federal databases means that discrepancies in your documentation or expired status could potentially be flagged. This is why I continue to emphasize that maintaining current and accurate immigration documentation is not just about your immigration case. It affects every aspect of your daily life, including driving. Now, I want to take a moment to directly address the viral social media claims that have been circulating about these driving regulations. Some posts suggest that these changes are specifically designed to target immigrants, or that driving without a real ID-compliant license will result in immediate deportation. This is absolutely false and represents exactly the kind of fear-based misinformation that damages immigrant communities. Real ID is a federal identification standard that applies to all Americans. It is not an immigration enforcement mechanism. If you are lawfully present in the United States, whether as a green card holder, a valid visa holder, or someone with an approved status, you are eligible to obtain real ID-compliant identification by providing the appropriate documentation to your state DMV. For those who are currently in the process of adjusting status, meaning you have filed for a green card but have not yet received approval, you should know that many states accept documentation showing pending applications as proof of authorized presence for driver's license purposes. This typically includes your receipt notices from USCIS showing that your adjustment of status application has been accepted. The specific requirements vary by state, and I strongly encourage you to check your state DMV website or visit your local office to understand exactly what documentation you need. Let me now provide practical guidance on what actions you should take based on these regulatory changes. First, check your current driver's license. Look at the upper right corner of your license for a gold or black star symbol. If you see this star, your license is already Real ID compliant, and you do not need to take any immediate action regarding federal identification requirements. If your license does not have this star, you should plan to upgrade to a Real ID compliant license before May 2025 if you intend to use your driver's license for boarding domestic flights or accessing federal facilities. Second, gather your documentation in advance. For green card holders, ensure your permanent resident card is current and will not expire before your intended license renewal date. If your green card is expiring soon, you should file Form I-90 to renew it. For visa holders, ensure you have your current passport, visa stamp, and any applicable status documents, such as your I-94 arrival record, your I-20 for students, or your approval notice for work visa holders. Third, check your status of my case on the USCIS website if you have any pending applications. Before visiting the DMV, confirm that your case status is correctly reflected in USCIS systems. You can do this through the USCIS case status tracking tool using your receipt number. This is important because the DMV may verify your status through the SAVE system, and you want to ensure there are no discrepancies that could cause complications. Fourth, understand your state's specific requirements. Immigration news today often focuses on federal policy, but driver's licensing is primarily a state function. Each state has different requirements, different types of licenses, and different documentation standards. Visit your state DMV website and review the specific requirements for immigrants and non-citizens before your appointment. Fifth, and this is critically important, if your immigration status has recently changed, whether through approval of a green card, extension of a visa, or any other status update, you should update your driver's license documentation as soon as possible. Driving with a license that reflects outdated immigration information could create complications during traffic stops or when using your license for identification purposes. I want to be absolutely clear about when consulting a licensed immigration attorney becomes necessary. if you are unsure about your current immigration status, if you have any pending removal or deportation proceedings, if you have been out of status at any point, or if you have any concerns about how updating your driver's license might interact with your immigration case, please consult with a qualified immigration attorney before taking action. The information I am providing in this video is general educational information designed to help you understand these regulatory changes. It is not personal legal advice tailored to your specific situation, and your individual circumstances may require professional guidance. For those of you in Canada following IRCC updates, or in the United Kingdom dealing with Home Office matters, similar documentation requirements exist for obtaining driver's licenses as foreign nationals. The principle is consistent across these jurisdictions. You must be able to document your lawful presence and identity to obtain official government identification. The specific requirements and processes differ, but the underlying framework is similar. As we look at the immigration updates landscape for 2025 and 2026, understanding how driving regulations intersect with immigration status becomes increasingly important. Recent immigration news has focused heavily on enforcement priorities and policy changes, and these driving regulation changes reflect a broader trend toward enhanced verification and documentation standards. This is not about targeting immigrants. It is about establishing consistent identification standards that apply to everyone. The key takeaway from today's analysis is this. If you are lawfully present in the United States, you have the ability to comply with these driving regulations. The process may require additional documentation compared to what citizens must provide, and your license renewal cycle may be shorter based on your visa validity. But the fundamental right to hold a driver's license and operate a vehicle is preserved for those with legal status. Do not let fear-based social media posts convince you otherwise. Do not let viral rumors prevent you from taking the straightforward steps needed to ensure your documentation is in order. For those currently waiting on USCIS case status updates for pending green card applications or status extensions, I understand the additional stress these driving regulation changes create. You may be uncertain whether your pending status qualifies you for certain types of licenses. You may be concerned about how DMV verification might interact with your pending case. These are valid concerns, and my advice is to work directly with your state DMV and, if necessary, a licensed immigration attorney to understand your specific situation. Many states have explicit provisions for applicants with pending status adjustments, and you may have more options than viral social media posts suggest. The information I have shared today is based on current Department of Homeland Security guidelines, USCIS verification protocols, and state DMV requirements as they exist at the time of this recording. Immigration law does not change overnight. Policy implementation takes time. And when changes do occur, they are published through official channels, including the Federal Register, USCIS website, and state government announcements. I encourage you to verify all information through these official sources and to be skeptical of social media posts that create urgency or fear without providing verifiable sources. If you found this analysis helpful, please subscribe to Global Immigration Updates and turn on notifications so you never miss important immigration news. Sharing accurate, verified information within your community helps combat the misinformation that causes so much unnecessary anxiety. If you have specific questions about how these driving regulations affect your particular immigration status, please leave them in the comments below. While I cannot provide personal legal advice, your questions help me identify topics that need deeper coverage in future videos. Thank you for trusting Global Immigration Updates to bring you factual, thoroughly researched immigration news analysis. Together, we can navigate these complex regulatory changes with knowledge, preparedness, and confidence. I am Saqib, and I will see you in the next video with more essential immigration updates that matter to you and your family. Stay informed, stay prepared, and remember that understanding the facts is always the first step toward protecting yourself and your future. So stay with me, because the information in this video could save you from costly mistakes, unnecessary fear, and potential legal complications. Welcome back to Global Immigration Updates. I am Saqib, and as always, my mission is to deliver verified, fact-checked immigration news and analysis that helps you navigate the complex American immigration system with clarity and confidence. Today, we are tackling a topic that intersects driving regulations with immigration status, and this is an area where misinformation spreads rapidly, because so many immigrants rely on driver's licenses, not just for transportation, but as essential identity documents for employment verification, travel, and daily life.